Hey y'all, Instinct Survivalist coming again with another 2-Tip Tuesday. This time we'll be talking about hats and, these go away, how to turn this into one of these. Oh no, the controversial subject of batoning. Yeah, let's get to the hats first. So why a hat? Most of the time you see me with a hat. Very few videos you see me without a hat. Why is that? Number one, it keeps the sun out of my eyes, right? And so that baseball cap for me looks a little bit better. However, growing up, that's the way that I, just what I had, right? I always wore baseball caps until my great grandmother gave me this hat. Now this has got some dust on it, needs a little cleaning, and it's too big for my head. But I love this hat, not just because she gave it to me, but I like the style. I like the fact that it sits, it is a little large, and I've even got some spacers on the inside, but I do like the hat. Nice wool, wide brimmed hat. Now the other one you'll see me in coming up in the future, at least my thought is my cowboy hat. Love this hat, nice and comfortable. Fits down nice and snug like a good hat should. But then I've got one more that I also really like. And this is what I call my bushcraft hat. Now, the thing about this one, for those of you that follow Matt Mercer and Black Hat Bushcraft, this is the same hat. Yeah, love this hat. Why? Because it's oil skin and it repels the water a lot. So why the hats, Bill? Why? What makes it so important? Well, the main reason is, again, keeping the sun out of your face, right? One big, huge reason for that. However, when you look at the fact of using a wide brim over something like a ball cap, is you do have the ability of an extra added tool. I can take and fan a flame, or turn it the other way and fan a flame, right? Fan into flames if I need to, get smoke out of the way, push something aside. And depending upon what type of hat it is, it's also a receptor. So I can take and boil water in here if I need to. That's one of the reasons why I like this one being the oil skin one. But with these being wool, they also keep my hat warm, or keep my head warm if I don't wear my other hat. Anyway, definitely something to look into. Find your preference as far as what type of hat you like. And it's find your preference as to what type you'll use. The reality is I've seen a lot of you out there that don't use hats, and that's okay. That's your preference. However, what I do see is a lot of the folks that don't use hats, eventually they'll come out and put a ball cap on because it's raining or their head's cold or something like that. Now, it may be that they use a knit cap or a watch cap or something like that, but again, your preference. These are just added functionalities and another way to use another tool in the tool chest. Speaking of tools, hey, did I tell you? Never mind. Anyway, speaking of tools, let's talk about the controversial subject of a baton or a baton. Now, when we get into this discussion, a lot of people are going to say, oh, you baton your knife. That's a huge discussion, a huge controversy, if you will. However, there are other ways to use a baton outside of a knife. For one, I use it on my wedges. Okay, I don't have a hammer out here. I can use the pole on my axe, but why do that when I could, eventually crack it or something like that by a mishap or a misstep? And I can just make one of these and just start batoning these down in there. Number one reason for a baton is wedges. Number two reason is what happens when this isn't powerful enough. I believe in using the right tool for the right job. However, there comes a point in time when sometimes I don't have it out there with me. So I can make a baton to actually give me a little bit more leverage for my axe or hatchet or tomahawk, as the case may be. Now, what I want to do is I want to cut away. I want to show you how to make a baton just like this one. In fact, it is this one, out of something like this. Very simple, very easy, 4 steps. 1, pick out and cut your right size log. 2, trim off your handle or make your stop cut to make your handle. 3, peel off for your handle and the bark until you get the size you want for the hand that you want. Now in our case, when I say hand that I want is the size you want for your hand. In my case, I like them nice and massive, and I like to have something with a little more meat to it to go in and drive that home. A little more caveman style, if you will. So let's cut away. I want to show you how to make these, and then we'll go from there. But before we do, I want to give you step 4 because I can't count. Step 4 is simply using the tool. Very easy, right? Those 3 steps, then we use the tool being the 4th one. But now we're going to cut away, and I'm going to show you how to make one of these. So once we've selected our size, the first thing we want to do is ring it. This is assuming you have a saw. And so we're going to take and just kind of literally put a circular circular cut around the piece of wood. Keeping in mind this does not have to be perfect. What this is doing is giving us a stop cut. Now we've talked about stop cut in the knife series, knife safety series, and all it is just to make sure that we've got a place where when we start cutting off the mass of it, that it stops, right? It didn't cut into here. Just going back around this one more time just to get a little more depth to it. Looks about right. And what our depth's going to be is, again, your handle, right? You may want something a little bit bigger. You may want something a little narrower. It's just a matter of preference from there. I know that this, from the cut up, is going to be my baton, right? Or baton, however you want to look at it. All right, we put this away. And we get the big boy. All right, we're going to get our axe. Now, why would we get an axe? Because it comes down to having the right tool for the job. So now we've got the right tool for the job. We want to go down to our stop cut. Now, the best way to do it, if you don't have an axe, again, right tool for the job. But if you don't have an axe, then certainly you can use a stick or a heavy baton that's not formalized to take your knife and lay it across and go down from there. Me, I'm going to use it this way. You'll see it's not quite to the stop cut, which is here, so I can continue to drive it down and go to that cut. Now, you'll see that I also peeled up some of the bark. That's okay, because our final step is going to be removing that bark, so not a big deal. But you also see there's a definitive line here where the stop cut is. So now we're just going to continue this process all the way around. Now, so one of the questions I get is, well, Bill, why did you just slam the stick up and down, right? The piece of wood up and down. And the main reason is because I'm not batoning the top of it. So what I'm doing is just kind of taking and driving that axe into it, give me something to work with, because I don't have really a surface to go in and start chopping. Now, the other side of that is I can start doing it this way and start removing. That way works fine as well. It's your choice. I'm doing it the way I do, but hey, we can do it the rest of this way as well. Okay, so after we've gotten the handle down, and I want to address that real quick. The handle's down to a size that's manageable for me, okay? I like it a little thicker. I like to have a little meat to it. That gives me I don't know, makes me feel more like a caveman or something. But I can sit there and go to town. Now, what I want to do now is remove the rest of the bark. Two things here. Number one, for the handle, you want it to be a little smooth. You can rough it up or keep it rough like this, or you can go in, use your knife and taper it down like you want to. Me, I don't have a problem with this because they are smooth based off of the fact that I just run my axe down it and smooth it out. So there's that. So let's go ahead and take the rest of this bark off.
We'll just make a shallow cut from here. We're just doing exactly what we were looking at a while ago. Just doing a little tapering cuts, if you will. warmed up out here, so everybody's outside. Funny, he's only doing it when I'm doing it.
All right. So we can leave it here. We can take the rest of it down. You can take your knife and you can go down it. But what we're doing it again, just trying to get that off simply because we want it to be a little more compressible. And you don't want to have the buffer that you would have like a rubber mallet. So, you know, let's look at the real world stuff, right? The stuff that we're not using in the woods. A rubber mallet, you're going to have some buffer, you're going to have some give, and that's what that bark's going to give you, is that ability, right? Now the other side of it is maybe what's called a dead blow hammer, or something that's not going to have a whole lot of give to it. This works for me simply because I don't need anything fancy. I'm just going to go in and use it on my wedges or axe. As I promised you, my close-ups of the wedges, these are the different wedges that I'm using. Sometimes it's literally just a piece that I've slipped off a tree, kind of like what we were cutting for the handle. That may form a good wedge. I'll just square it up or taper it off. Same with this one. And then some of them are just, it's wide, right? So you can see there's a little taper here. I just stick it in there and go. But this one's great for peeling off bark. This one is just a rough one that I've used. But my favorite are these right here. So you've got a little taper on the corners, kind of a airfoil type. And I can use them this way, or I can use them this way because it does have that taper to it. So that's it, fellas. Very, very simple. Why do you want to use a baton, or some people say baton? And it's really to boil down to making your life easier. It's another tool. Do I want to go in and use it on my knife? This one will take it. Thank you, JT. But the other part of it is I may have another thing that needs to have that same function or type. I may need to use it on my axe. I may need to use it for wedges or something of that nature. That's pretty much it. Figure out what kind of hat you want to use, or hey, give it a shot. You can go to the if it's shaking, I'm sorry, the dog is licking it. Anyway, it may be that you want to go to Salvation Army and pick up a hat just to try it out, or you know what, for the most part you can go and buy them for less than $5. That's for a ball cap. For a cowboy hat, it's going to cost you a little bit more. You can go to some Hispanic stores and they'll get you a nice Mexican cowboy hat, and that's pretty reasonable. It may be that you're looking at, because you're in a warm area, a straw hat. That's fine. Use one that's beneficial to you. That's kind of it, guys. Hey, thanks for all you do, your likes, your comments, your subscribes, and your shares. Don't forget to share this out. Don't forget to give a big thumbs up, and continue to check us out on InstinctSurvivalist.com. We're growing there, more articles, and some of the articles are referring back to videos you may not have seen yet. So until then, use your instincts to survive. Thanks for watching.